Eric, what's up, man? Good to see you again.
Yeah, good to be here again. How many times do I have to come on before I get one of those cool seed hat clubs or, seed club hats?
Uh,
3.
7. Ooh.
7? Okay, 3. I like the sound
Let's
of
split it in
3.
half. Let's split it, yeah, yeah.
3,
Well, Eric, just
so
keep doing
next
cool
time I'm
shit.
getting a hat. Yeah.
Keep doing cool shit. Okay, so we checked on you, what, 2, 3 months ago? And I think it was just there was a sense of emergence. Was it 2, 3 months ago?
Probably
4?
more.
I think it was, like,
Oh,
October. I think it was, like, 5 months
s
ago now.
but it's all the same, whatever, right? 5 months.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's both slightly longer than I thought, but also like a blip in time here and also 10 years in AI time. So, uh, okay, so Eric, you're the creator of x402, have been sort of championing that inside of Coinbase and inside this broader ecosystem that you've been building out over the last little while. Clearly ahead of the times in October. And today it seems like that technology is just like the hot topic, at least amongst the agent circles that I'm hanging out in. I think Josh and I are really intrigued just sort of about like what the status on the ground is. Like, what is actually happening here? Is this real? Is this just novelty loops going on top of each other and we're just all sort of circle jerking on the internet? What's happening?
I think you asked me that exact question in October. So, it's either been an extremely long loop or maybe there's something here. We actually I don't think people realize it's actually we just crossed a year of X402. It was like
Mm.
a yeah, roughly we're coming up to exactly we're at a year. 2 weeks ago, I was at ETH Denver, and that's when we kind of, like, started to stealth roll it out, and then I think tweets went out about it, like, yes, 1st or 2nd week of March or something. So we're
Can you give like the real quick just TLDR on what it is so people who maybe aren't familiar can get caught up?
yeah, let's do it. So X402 is an open standard for internet native payments, and what it allows you to do is it allows you to include a payment in any HTTP request or any communication between 2 computers. So it works with, like, A to A and MCP. The place where we see, like, 99.9% of usage is just including payments in HTTP requests because it turns out AI just talks HTTP really well. Um, but it means that you can, like, have an agent pay for content or an API or pay another agent, like, as little as, like, a tenth of a cent. And so that becomes really powerful, and we've seen, hundreds of millions of transactions across, like, a bunch of different blockchains, and, some of it is, like, people doing all sorts of weird stuff. A lot of it is also just, like, real utility of agents paying for resources they want to use. And so we've kind of evolved since then to try to the standard is like it's just humming. We like merge PRs, new networks every week. We've got like arbitrary ERC20s that the contracts are finalized and I think going to be deployed this week. Um, and so now it's all about like adoption and use cases and utility and kind of crossing the chasm. And with that comes a lot of like educating people who haven't been in crypto and hear crypto and get really scared really quickly that like stable coins are just the most useful native form of currency for AI.
Can you just highlight some of the strongest production use cases today, like examples of real volume and real revenue being brought through it? Obviously, we're seeing a ton of experimentation, which is great, but I'm curious if is anyone using this to like fundamentally improve their business already?
Yeah, I think one thing that was interesting to me, super cool last week or the week before, time is a circle, is I think pretty much every crypto infra company now has X402 support. So like QuickNote, Alchemy, CDP, all of us allow you to pay for goods and services using X402. And so if your agent wants to like, make an RPC request and it doesn't have like a Bitcoin blockchain RPC integration, it can now like go and get one without having to do kind of like, hey, I'd like a credit card, et cetera, et cetera. Um, and I think like the big meta and where X402 is like uniquely useful is this concept of like um this is a concept that I've made up, so I should maybe like talk about the concept first. It's the concept of inverted API keys. And so this is my solve on like how do you prevent the like API keys from being required everywhere. I think this is the first time I've talked about it publicly, but it's a thing I've been working on internally for a minute, which is like instead of you giving the API key to the developer gives you the API key, and so you invert the model of how API keys are issued. There's no reason why you have to generate the API key.
Right. So it's more of
Right.
like a developer ID Like the developer gives the service their ID instead of
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So like I can walk you through. Let
what
me
is that?
like
What
give
is
you.
yeah? What does that change?
So what it changes is that now an agent doesn't need to like go and get the API key. It doesn't have to like browser use, sign up, go through a full flow. You just need like a register endpoint to associate a public key with some like identifier, and then they can just X402 pay you credits, and then now you can like do the full loop of like registering as a AI to use some development platform and managing your account based on just the like fully autonomously without having to go through like a sign up loop.
Right.
And I think the thing that a lot of people miss is that a lot of API keys actually already are public private key pairs. So like if you go in the CDP portal and you generate an API key, what we're actually doing is generating an API key in your browser, and then we save the public key of that, and we give you the private key to download. Like most API keys aren't just like naive secrets,
Mm.
and so you can sign with an API key in many cases. And why this is also cool is it like allows you to back into like retrofitting your infrastructure, and that you can just have the agent tell you a curve that's a curve that you verify in all your API endpoints. And so you can like you can, if you now accept X42 credits and have this concept of bringing your own API key, you can now retrofit most service providers with like autonomous like utility.
Where did that come from? Some sort of friction you guys were feeling, or I'm curious where that came from.
Excuse me. Um, I think it's just that answering this question of like how everyone right now is scrambling to figure out how do I make my infrastructure, my APIs like maximally usable by AI.
Right. Yeah.
Right? Like there was a big report I saw last week on like what is the AI stack? Not like what stack do developers choose to build AI on. It's like what stack does AI choose to build software on? And so if you're not one of those companies, you're probably freaking out right now. And then you're trying to figure out how do I like make my stuff easier to use for Claude Code.
Right. Just
Yeah,
like
the whole
remove.
sign up
How do I
stuff.
remove all friction?
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. And generating a public private key pair is like, or generating an API key is like totally within the realm of things that an AI can do via Bash. And then if it can fund credits with X402, like there's no risk on your side. You don't have to like accept a credit card. You've already got the cash. You just like, you know,
Right.
account the balances of how much it's used.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, I want to dive into that kind of future world soon, but maybe before we do, I'm curious if like what are some of the big open questions that still exist around whether this becomes kind of a universal internet primitive or just stays some kind of niche crypto protocol like many other things before it.
Vicious.
No, I think it's the right
That's a
question.
great
I
question.
think
It is the question for sure.
yeah, yeah. The like my talk track, which I've been on recently, is like we're kind of in a world where we're making a choice, either implicitly or explicitly, of open or closed. And so clearly agents are gonna need to pay for stuff. If we're all cool with like a closed ecosystem, like some big lab is gonna like have a developer SDK that wraps some big payment provider's API, and then you're gonna be able to like everyone is just gonna use like the front end and back end for doing payments, right? Like if it's like doesn't matter who. I'm not trying to pick on anybody. It could be like any of the like credit card processors or anyone any like fintech that has an API is like scrambling for like how do we make our API like the thing that both an agent has and the thing that like a merchant accepts. Uh, and then so that in my mind is like the kind of you must now go through a singular player to do agentic commerce, or we pick something that's open. And that would be like the X402 thing where it's like a way of basically negotiating how do we want to pay each other. Um, and the I think the thing that is non-obvious to most people is AI is kind of like the third big platform of our lifetime. First is the World Wide Web. Open won. It wasn't a guarantee that Open won. AOL had like the early lead. Second, second platform was mobile. There wasn't really the possibility to do open because it required hardware, and so yeah, we ended up with a duopoly. And so now with AI, like I think there is a real chance that we can make it open, and like you see this with OpenClaw, right? The models at this point are to a large degree a commodity. It's the harnesses that create differentiation, and you can totally have open source harnesses. See OpenClaw. And so now it's like, but with every platform, it's how do you monetize? It's the monetization that ends up entrenching like who wins. Ultimately, the World Wide Web won because it monetized better and scaled better than AOL did, and Google made a much bigger business of like indexing the open internet than AOL could, and like creating BD deals to have your stuff show up on AOL's like portal. And so, my big push is like open is good because anyone can now go and build, and that is like an incredible thing that has like positive sum dynamics that like are hard to measure. And so like what forces can we do to like push towards open? I think X402 is one of those sources, but uh, we need just kind of like this agentic standards stack that's kind of emerging with like X402 and 8004 and a bunch. There's more things that I think are needed as well, but I think if we don't like actively think about open or closed in this context, we're just going to default to closed.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been thinking about that a lot from the memory perspective, and just I know that was sort of the news last week with Claude saying, "Hey, come on, bring over your history." But you really feel that sort of lock in, and then of course at the business level, it's a whole other the payments level there is interesting. I'm curious where the sort of center of gravity of this work is. Like, is X402 a component of a bigger sort of general interest group that's pushing towards this openness? Like, where's the coordination happening around this more open agentic future?
Twitter, uh, yeah,
Nice.
Telegram. Where does it always
Yeah.
happen, right? I think that that's one of the. I think that's how open happens. It's like there's no singular node of coordination. Like the power is in that there's no like rate limiter. Like people just try stuff, and like if it goes well and like catches on, it succeeds, right? It's like
Yeah.
a really a proof of work kind of system.
Yeah, I guess maybe going a step into the future. So it seems like kind of API access is probably the initial kind of killer use case for this, which makes a lot of sense. But I'm curious what, you're talking about all these companies kind of scrambling to, make it easy for agents to sign up for their products. I'm curious what does competition look like in this world we're moving towards if humans aren't making kind of brand informed API decisions? It's kind of agents, I don't know, going into some like marketplace and testing latency, and I don't know,
Evals, baby.
like what does that look like?
I think so. I think it actually looks like agents leaving reviews for stuff. This is like if you were to explain like I'm 5 EIP 8004, it's like Yelp for agents, where they can
Okay.
like review other agents and review other APIs and be like, yeah, this was good, this was bad. Um, because yeah, I think brand recognition, like there isn't. I think there is an implicit brand recognition that is like built into the weights of these models, in that if you had
Mm,
a product that was very popular on the internet at the time that training happened, like,
yeah.
you're gonna show up quite well in what the AI defaults to. But beyond that, it's like, what is the next chasm? Like, how do we not get stuck in the, like, set of APIs that happen to be popular in, like, 2024 when a lot of, or 2022 when a lot of this, data was getting scraped, right? And so, beyond that, I think it becomes, like, marketplaces and probably evals of, like, does this actually work? Do I get better results? Et cetera, et
Well,
cetera.
that feels like the big shift, right? Where the outcomes that
Yeah.
I mean, you always see this in enterprise sales or whatever. Sell the outcome, not the feature, right? Well, maybe that gets inverted in an interesting way, but yeah, even right now, I find myself at, I mean, you're faced with, build or buy options at much lower levels right now, higher levels. It's like, do I want to go figure out that scaler for $4 and get it from Kelly Cloud or one of those others, and we'll just rock and roll and maybe even make small changes and So yeah, I think that's
There's so many things that I think if the internet had the ability to pay 25 cents, would be a marketplace, which are not a marketplace right now. Like, I you probably like, what is your incentive for giving away, like, your super tuned skill right now?
attention.
It's attention, yeah, yeah. Whereas if you can charge, like, 25 cents and receive 24.99 of those cents, uh
Even those words.
yeah, yeah, it's like it's unintuitive to think about numbers that small, but if 1,000,000 people pay you 25 cents for your skill, like, that's now, like,
I mean, microtransactions, mobile and
yeah,
agent.
yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah,
The
exactly. And so now it's like, okay, how do you get a billion people to have stablecoin wallets?
people?
It's a good call out. People, agents. How do you get a billion stablecoin wallets that are willing to pay and participate in this market?
There you go. Yeah. Yeah, fascinating. All right, and we maybe have 2 more minutes with you. Give us, a sense of where development is going or where you guys are focused on pushing this forward in the next, say, 3 months.
Yeah, so we launched an agentic wallet 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. The This is kind of our let's build a product for agents. Like this isn't a wallet for like a human to be the primary user. It's a wallet where the human should have control, but the agent should be the ultimate user of the wallet who's like initiating transactions. And so there's a bunch of like interesting product decisions we made around, spend limits and, having like a widget that exists so that the human can like manage the wallet in like a safe way. And um but I think that the thing that I'm thinking about a lot right now is like that prompt I just gave you of like how do we get a billion, financial actors with the ability to spend stable coins, even if they have like $1 in that wallet.
What are when you ask that question to yourself, what are the strategic opportunities that come up?
I think the biggest one is you need to make it easy provision, and then you need a bootstrapping mechanism that doesn't mean the human needs to be in the loop all the time. And so like if you now need to like enter a debit card, you're still gonna have a ton of friction. Versus if your OpenClaw can just like create a wallet and then do some good or service on the internet in order to fund it. Or if it can be like, hey, friend agent, can you just send me 5 cents? Right. Like those are I think how you end up with like more, maybe not more total dollars in the system, but a more evenly like number of active wallets is like I think thing you actually care about at this point. Because if you as a human see like, oh, my agent's getting a ton of utility by just paying for stuff with stable coins, you'll probably just give it an extra $5. But it needs to like demonstrate the utility before you're willing to give it the $5. And so we launched this set of agentic skills the other week. I think the one that was missed is like we gave a skill called monetize service, which basically gave instructions to OpenClaw on how to monetize a service with X402. And so if you like activate that skill and then your Claude code has our agentic wallet AWAL installed, it will like zero shot or one shot, I guess, a entire like service and go sell it in the X42 marketplace. And that's like a way of it like earning money without you having to like really do anything. Like when I was testing it out, I was like, okay, build a service, and it like searched through the marketplace and then found like a gap. It realized like, oh, there's no text analysis tools, and then it like built a tool for giving you feedback on like writing quality, and then it attempted to list the tool on the marketplace, and that's like how do you form a micro business as an agent and then
Yeah,
earn your first 50 cents, and then you can go do other stuff.
looking
Yeah,
forward
that's
to that,
crazy.
like,
Where is this X402 marketplace?
It's
Is
called the
it
Bazaar.
the
So
Bazaar?
if you just we're working on building out a UI for it, but it's like a
Okay,
full like
I love
agents are
it.
the primary customers. Yeah.
You
that
can't
makes
see it. You
sense.
have to
That makes sense.
get your
Yeah.
Claude bot to go and, or
The
OpenClaw
the
to
best way that I'd recommend people to check it out is if you do npx AWAL AWAL, that installs our wallet, and then you can do npx AWAL x402 bazaar search, and then like any keyword, and
Okay.
that's the way you can like search for any service. There's like 10,000 services available on the X42 marketplace.
All right. We're gonna be doing that later.
hell yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Eric, I know you gotta get going, man. Appreciate you hopping on. It's been awesome to sort of see the growth and the excitement in this category and damn near impossible to keep up. So I appreciate you hopping on frequently enough to sort of ground us in where you guys have sort of yeah, where things are today and where you see them going. Super helpful to me at least. So appreciate that. And it's gonna be a wild 3 months. Q is it this is what? Yeah. We got a month left in Q1. Q2 is gonna be is it I think it's gonna be weirder.
Of course.
Yeah. I think
Yeah,
planning
it's
in
weird.
quarters is for the pre-agent world. You got to plan in weeks and months.
Yeah, days and cycles here, really, right?
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Thanks
All
for
right, man.
having me, guys.
That's it.
Pleasure as
Thanks for
always.
coming on.